we'll be learning Jean-Philippe Rameau, French composer's Menuet and Rondeau. The word minuet means it's a dance form that kings and queens and nobility danced to back in the day. And it's in kind of a medium fast tempo. And it's in 3/4 time. All the dance forms like waltz, minuets were all in 3/4. And in factoids. And rondo, the word suggests that something is repeating. So I'm going to play for you in the instrument that it was originally written for, which is harpsichord. They didn't have modern day piano at the time, so all they had was harpsichord or organ. When you think about it, they're very contrasting instruments. So the harpsichord, the main difference from modern day piano is that the notes were not able to sustain because the strings were, instead of being struck by the hammer, that's how it is right now, they were plucked. Yeah, so they were not able to have any kind of a resonance. So here we go. This is in Rondeau, Menuet and Rondeau. And also be listening for how it starts in C major, modulates briefly to G, and returns to the C. 1, ready, go. That's the piece in harpsichord. Okay, now let's do a score study. Okay, so I have the score right here. You should have it in front of you to take notes on fingerings and such. Let's first identify all the different sections. So it was common during this time that the composers did not write any dynamics or phrase markings and things like that, because often they played their own music. Like Bach, for example, never wrote any dynamics or slurs or accents or such. In some ways, it was more freeing because then you can kind of make up your own versions as well. But let's look at the beginning. So first phrase, as I mentioned before, this is in 3/4 time. So it's not written here as 3/4. It says just 3, but it's probably a shorthand for 3/4 at the time period. Okay, and the first section starts at the very beginning. And it's in like 8 measure phrases. So the second part starts at measure 9. Okay, and maybe I'll write measure numbers on the left side. So it's 1, and then this second line starts measure 6. And the third phrase starts after another 8 measures. So that is 9, 10, 11, 12. Here's 13. 4, 5, 6. Measure 17 starts the third phrase right here. And that's the section that has modulated. The word modulation, so that's spelled M-O-D-U-L-A-T-I-O-N, means that you have changed your key center somewhere. It's boring to have just one key, right? So often when a piece of music is written in a major key, it modulates to its dominant, somewhere in the middle of the piece, and that's what happens here. If a piece is written in a minor key, it often modulates to, and I use the word often because it was kind of an unspoken rule, but then there's always those who are more creative and breaks the rules, went to the relative major. So it goes to G major, but it's kind of the exact same thing, except in G major now. And then there's a little transition right here. So that measure is 18, 19, measure 20, starts on the fourth line, 1, 2, 3, 4. Measure 24 has a transition, and measure 25 starts the last section. And you will notice that sections 1, 2, and 4 are identical. Okay, so that's a good news because if you learn kind of the two sections, that means you know the whole piece. Okay. All right. So now let's talk about some fingering stuff. So if you look at the beginning, right hand starts with 5. I'll just write the first finger of each measure. And it's kind of telling of how the melody is constructed. So first measure starts on 5, which is G. Now it goes on 4. They're all moving in stepwise motion. And then next measure starts on E. So there's a descending pattern. And in fact, within the first section, the end of the first phrase. So if I were to add a little slur, I'll probably add it like this. Okay, it's two 4-measure phrases. That's why it sounds so balanced. Because it's 4 plus, 4 plus, 4 plus, or 4 plus, and then it becomes 8 plus, etc. And because ends of each phrase is descending, I'll probably do a little diminuendo at the end. Okay. So what distinguished Baroque period from classical? Or maybe I should have said the other way around because classical comes after Baroque period, is that left hand voice is not subservient to the right. It's not just harmony supporting the melody, but rather it's an independent voice. So this piece has a nice independent left hand voice that maybe I can picture being played on a cello or any low string of such. So the fingering goes 5, 1, 2. I'll jot this down. 3, 2, 4, 1, 5. Here's an octave. 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 2, 5. And this can be the fingering for all the other parts. Okay, let's learn the first part. If we can play along on the left hand only, there's an octave interval in the very beginning. So it starts on C below middle C, and it goes 5, 1, 2, 3, 2, 4, 1, hold, C, G, 2, F, E, 2, A, D, 2, G, C, G, G, C, G, C. Okay, when you look at measures 6, 7, and 8, there's a G with half note and C with half note. You don't really have to play them as half notes. It was written that way before because that was the only way to sustain the notes back in the day. But now with the piano, you can just play them as running quarter notes. Okay, so let's play left hand again. 1, ready, go. C, C, B, A, B, C, 2, C, G, 2, F, E, 2, A, D, 2, G, C, G, G, C, G, C. Okay, so there's 2 phrases within that first section. Now the right hand. It starts on the G. So this is middle C, and this one is the octave above. I'll take it nice and slow, and it's mostly running eighth note except at the end of every fourth measure. There's something else. Okay, 1, ready, go. G, F, E, F, E. And just follow the contour of the shade, melody shade. Quiet. Now start louder again. And because the composer didn't write any dynamics, you can have kind of a free choice to do, you don't want to play it the same way, right? When it's the same thing repeating. So maybe, first section start with like a piano. Sorry, a little shaky right there. Okay, you can start soft. And then the second phrase, when it comes back, because it's the same thing, maybe play like a mezzo forte or something like that. So you can do that for a variety. And you put hands together. I'll do it nice and slow. Read from bottom to top rather than top to bottom. Okay, so it goes together, right, together, right. 1 and 2 and 3. E, G, F, E, C. 1 and 2 and 3. And new phrase. 1 and 2 and 3. And same exactly, except maybe a little louder. 1 and 2 and 3. Now measure 11. 2, 1 crossover. Sorry, left hand. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, so that's the end of phrase 2. Okay, let's do phrase 3, just the left hand alone. Instead of starting on C, we have the same exact pattern starting on G, and there's F sharp added to make it a G major. 1 and 2 and 3 and G, 2, and fingering's the same. 2, 3, 2, 4, 1. Hold and G and D and 2 and C and B, 2 and B and A. Hold D. And then transition. So you're just gonna hop over to G, F, E, D, C, and then back to the very beginning. Same thing. Okay, let's do it a little faster, left hand alone. 1, 2, 3. G, G, F sharp, E, F sharp, D, G, hold, G, D, hold, C, B, 2, B, A, 2, B, G, B, D, G, G, and B, D. Now back to the beginning. Okay. Let's do both hands. Right hand starts on D, and the left hand G. Nice and slow together. At phrase 3. 1, 2, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. section, right? Same thing as the very beginning. For you this time in piano, okay, and slightly faster and kind of more ideal tempo. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 1. Ready, go. That's how the piece is like, more or less. And maybe the third phrase, I'm gonna make it a little softer, and then for the last phrase before it again. The thing about dynamics during the Baroque period is that you don't change much within the phrase. So once you're in the same phrase, you keep it about the same, and then we call it the terrace dynamic. So it jumps up in like terrace or like a stepwise kind of thing, where it's not a gradual change, but it's more of a, okay, I was piano and now I jump to mezzo forte, and then I jump down to piano, and then I jump down to forte, you know, that kind of pattern. It's mainly because of the kinds of instruments that they had. You didn't get the gradual dynamic change. So it would be weird if you did a gradual change within the phrase so much. Main thing that a lot of people make mistake of in this piece is, because it's pretty straightforward, is that ends of phrases, you know, should be softer, and then some people tend to play the ends, you know, not as sensitively, as in 1 and 2 and 3. So that's the end of a sentence. So it's like how it will be like, how are you? You know, did you today? You're not going to be like, did you today? How are you? You know, it's just not natural to end it with an accent. But when we play with our fingers, sometimes we just forget. So make sure you're looking out for that. And I just wanted to remind you, these videos are not recommended to just use, you know, like a stop and copy kind of thing. You know, all of you know how to read already. So it's more like in the beginning, maybe watch it once just to get an idea and work on it for a while, and then watch it maybe just once more later, kind of as a reaffirmation of like, oh, am I doing everything? Yeah. But have fun with the piece.